going to tell you about this amazing region, Twente. It's a region where I live, and as you can see, we travel always by bus with a lot of people with us. They are in the back of the row. Please, let's hear yourself. Okay. We in Twente have a lot of residents with an own identity, and we are very proud of that. And that's why we are here to tell you about the things we are proud of. Twente has a high level of facilities. Most obvious, we have a lot of institutions of higher education, university and Saxion Hogeschool, for example. But also we have institutions as the Dutch Symphonic Orchestra and the Nationale Reisopera. We are located just as Maastricht and Limburg in the middle of Europe, at the corridor of London and Berlin, on the axis of Copenhagen and Milan. An infrastructure hub of roads, railways and waterways. Shouldn't you be proud of that? Twente has over 600,000 inhabitants, over 30,000 students, with more than 50 nationalities. And we have approximately 3,000 companies, and a lot of them in the innovation business. Businesses in Twente consist mainly of SMEs. Grols, Ten Kate, Urenco, Thales, Siemens, these are probably companies you all know. And Kennispark, the science park in Twente, created over 1,100 spin-off companies. And we are very proud of them. And one of them is, for example, Xsense, which makes the technology for American cinema hits like Ted and Avatar. We are also proud of Jan Kramer. He is a famous tucker, just as Willem Wilmink and Herman Vinkers and Ilse de Lange. You all know them. And we are also proud of our football clubs, FC Twente and Heracles, who do very well. Twente is similar to a swarm of starlings. It's a region of thinkers and doers, scientists and builders, creative and bureaucrats, of townspeople and villagers, networkers and individuals. These contradictions are also the strength of the region, but they are also the weakness. We're not always on the same line. For 15 years, for example, we've been trying to build one city of Enschede and Hengelo, Twentestad. But it still doesn't work, and it won't happen for several years to come. And this is part of historical and cultural differences between the two cities. And our task is to share the differences and to find pragmatic cooperation. Never leave the swarm. Tuckers wander all over the world, and they always have Twente in their hearts. And Tuckers stay in Twente, but they always have the world in their minds. So this is very difficult for us. It looks like a lot like Twente, I think. But in short, we cherish our homeland. We are proud of Twente. We are Twente. Unfortunately, we are too much focused inwards also. We think too much of Twente and too little of, for example, your region. Here we can learn from your region, where there are many things accomplished together. For example, the joint airport and the joining forces for the cultural capital in 2018. It's very important also to not assimilate too much, because that is very boring. If everyone is the same, if everything is equal, then your homeland is not interesting anymore. So highlight the differences and unite in diversity. And don't try to compromise too often. We are trying hard to find that the similarities emphasize the status quo, and that is not unique in the world. So we must be proud of what we do and proud of who we are. Let's kill Calimero. To overcome this, we must need to exchange our egos for a collective thought. We must ensure that while preserving the individuality of each one, the power of the individual, we all fly in the same direction. We have to emphasize the differences and strengthen them. We have to enjoy the differences also, but we should have create focus, and we should have a common goal and chase the same rainbow. We know our unique selling points. Twente has a high interconnecting capacity. That's why we're here. If the urge to distinguish for any reason whatsoever might become too large, then it is important to reconnect again with the swarm. And that is what we do in Twente. The swarm is the real power of Twente. Cities, companies, individuals must reconnect by themselves. Now, it's all too often that Twente, that the region has to reconnect to them. But the swarm is continually tirelessly, so it's up to the individual to connect again. So get connected, that's the motto of Twente. Join the swarm. Twente cherishes the differences, provides direction, looks outward, won't lay down, and sends the message to the world. We are proud of Twente. In our view, there are both similarities and differences to Twente and Limburg. Limburg has a more regional and international focus, whereas Twente focuses mainly regional. But we are both in the periphery and both have a strong own identity. Even though we are not central in Holland, we are central in Europe, so that we must be proud of as Limburg and as Twente. We believe that it is time for the emancipation of the so-called marginal regions. And we think that we should help each other. Because what goes for Twente goes for Limburg. So ultimately, every Tukker, like every Limburger, should say like the Unilever CEO Paul Polman, who comes from Twente. He proudly tells the world, I'm first a citizen of the world. And of course, I'm always a Dutchman. But above all, I always be a Tukker. Thank you.